My name is Jennifer French, and I am coming to you from the Yoga Sanctuary in downtown Punta Gorda, Florida. And today I'd like to take you through a short little practice that will ideally help you feel a little bit more comfortable in a posture we call Sukhasana. Sukhasana translates to easy seated pose or a comfortable cross-legged posture, but as or at least many of us know, it's not always that comfortable. So I'm hoping that this sequence will bring a little bit more ease into the posture for you. But first, we want to see what it feels like in our body. So take a moment to find yourself a strap or a strap-like support. It could be a tie, it could be a belt, something like that, and a blanket, something that you can sit on. So once you've found that, you want to take your blanket, fold it in a way so it's nice and thick. You could also use 2 blankets, more than one. It doesn't have to be just one. You can sit up nice and high. And then we'll come to sit on that blanket in the cross-legged seat. So as you take this pose, we cross our legs at our shins. Whichever shin is forward is up to you. It doesn't matter to me. And then let your feet be forward of your hips, so they're not pulled back real tight. And then allow your knees to lower as much as they will, almost aligning right over your feet. Let your hands rest on your legs. And then we'll pause here for just a few moments to feel what this posture is like in the body. So with your hands on your legs, maybe you'll close your eyes or at least let your gaze soften and cast down towards the ground in front of you. And as you settle in, start to feel how this posture feels in your body. Notice what you're feeling and where you're feeling it. Are there places of grip, of tension? Do you feel like you're holding on for dear life? Or are there places of ease and comfort? And take a moment to slow and smooth your breath. Sometimes by simply observing and settling the breath, we find a little bit of settling come to the body. Now as you continue to watch and feel, maybe things are starting to change as you hold the posture. And as you continue to tune in, we'll take 3 more breaths here together, just feeling. What is this pose like in your body today? And after those 3 breaths, go ahead and let your eyes float open. So you might have noticed that there was some tension or gripping in your hips, or maybe your back started to speak to you a little bit. There's all kinds of places where this pose can end up challenging our physical body. So let's go ahead and shift now onto our back. We'll start to go through this short sequence, ideally helping us to find some ease in this particular pose. So I'll meet you on your back. And you come down to the ground and want that strap right off to the side so it's available to me. And then as you make your way onto your back, let your knees bend. Take the feet a little bit wider than your hips if you like. Maybe even let your knees fall in towards each other. And let's just pause with this transitional pose. Coming into this constructive rest pose is what we call it. Feel your back settle into the earth. Feel your hips settle into the earth. And then return to your breath. Try to find a nice, easy, comfortable breath here. And then as you come to next inhale, walk your feet in a little bit. Then come to take your arms up and overhead. With your exhale, hug your right knee into your chest. Catch that knee. Pause for a moment. And then cross the ankle over the knee. Then we'll use our right hand to press the right knee away from us. And as you do, firm your right ankle. You don't have to be too tense in the ankle, but just a little pulling back of the toes. So we'll pause with that and notice what you feel in your right hip. Does this feel like a comfortable movement, or is there a challenge around it right here?
And after about 3 breaths, you could certainly hold longer if time allows, but after about 3 breaths or so, let's release and bring this foot back down to the ground. Then we'll take our arms back up and overhead. Nice stretch through the arms. And we'll come to the left side, so hug that left knee in. And then cross the ankle over the knee and use your left hand to press your left knee away. And notice what you're feeling on this side. So we go one side at a time to really tune in to what's different or the same on each side. Remember, you can pull your toes back here. That might change sensation. And after about 3 breaths, make sure you try to stay the same length of time as you did on the right side. Once you feel like that same amount of time has passed, we'll then release. We'll draw the knee back in. And then on the inhale, place the foot down. Let's take our arms up and overhead. And we'll come back to that right side, catch the right knee again. And now this is when we'll take our strap onto the sole of the right foot. Catch that foot. With an inhalation, reach up through the right heel. Give a nice good push through the heel and draw down on the strap. So we start to feel a stretch through the back of the leg. And we'll give this just a few moments. You can be here for 3 breaths, 5 breaths, even longer if you'd like. And after some time passes, let's go ahead and take both ends of the strap into the right hand. And then we'll open the right leg to the right side, but at the same time, open your left knee to the left side. So you can work here with our arms straight, or you can bring your elbow to the ground. Yeah, and so we want to stay heavy on the left side here as we reach through the right heel. Now, moving from your hip region, can you feel, so you want to move your thigh bone and your hip joint, start to turn your legs so that your toes almost begin to point to the ground a little bit more. Don't overdo that. It's just an interesting way of exploring this pose, a little bit different than you might normally. So as you feel that rotation push through your heel, we'll take another couple breaths here. And then with your inhalation, pull your leg back up to center. And as you exhale, we'll hug the knee in. So now before we go to the second side, we're going to reapproach the pose that we did not too long ago. Cross your ankle over your knee again. Press that right knee away. Check in. What are you feeling through the right hip? And if it feels comfortable, now you might draw your left knee in and catch your left leg in some way. Right now, as I catch the left leg, I could hold the thigh or the shin. Might you now feel as though you want to dip your tailbone down into the earth? And then we'll pause with that. We're going to take a few breaths here. Nice, slow, easy breaths. Really paying attention to what you're feeling in that right hip. And then as you come to inhale next, let's let go of that left knee. Hug the right knee back in, and then we'll come to place the foot down. We'll lift our arms up and overhead, and then with an exhale, we'll come to the left side. Hug your left knee in. Take your strap onto the sole of the left foot, and we reach our heel up to the sky again. So we'll pause with that nice stretch through the back of the thigh. We won't be here too long. We hold this aspect of the pose a little less time than we do the next part of it. And after a couple of breaths, take your strap into your left hand. Take whatever you're using into your left hand. That's open to the left. And as you do, open your right knee to the right. Good, so remember that arm can stay straight or the elbow can come to the ground. And then just as we did before, moving from the hip, your thigh bone turning in your hip, can we rotate as though you want to point your toes to the ground? So it's a nice outer rotation here. It's just a different way of exploring. You can try that a couple of times even, almost rotating in and out a couple times. And then we hold there, and we'll breathe easy and full. Sometimes I like to weight down the right side with my hand. Let's breathe here. Nice, wide, steady breaths. And then when you complete your next exhale, don't feel rushed. You can stay here as long as you like. But for the sake of time, let's pull our legs back together and then hug this knee into your chest and take the strap off the foot and put it off to the side. And we'll come to cross the ankle over the knee again, pressing forward. Notice any changes. And then if it's comfortable, draw that right knee in, catching the leg in some way. And we pause there. Remember that idea of letting the tailbone dip downward. And feeling a sensation through the left hip. And notice again, does this side feel really different from the other? What is your challenging side, or what is the less challenging side for you? As you feel, as you breathe, you start to learn a little bit more about some of the things that might affect our cross-legged seat. And then with your next inhale, if you're holding that right leg, let it go. Let's then uncross and place the foot down. And we'll come to open the knees. Bring the soles of the feet together. Let your hands rest on your belly for a moment and just feel a nice opening through the inner seams of your legs, a widening through the pelvis, and breathe here for a moment. And then as you exhale, come to bring your knees together. Let's then roll over to the side of the body and use the strength of your hands to press up. So we'll shift to hands and knees now. And as you do, if you've got sensitive knees, kneel on a blanket. Yeah. So with that shift, we stack our shoulders just about over the wrists and our hips just about over the knees. So pressing to the hands here, we're in a tabletop posture. Take a moment to work out any kinks in the spine. So on your exhale, round your spine up towards the sky. And on the inhale, arch your spine away from the sky. Let's do that a couple of times. You're pushing into the ground. When we round, almost feel like you want to pull the ground towards you when you arch. After a couple of those movements, we'll settle back to a place of center, to a tabletop. And then start to bear a little bit more weight in your right shin. And as you do, we'll take our left knee out, straighten the leg, and bring the big toe side of the foot to the ground. So you're working almost at a right angle here. And then as you push into your hands, let that left hip descend a little bit. Feel an upward lift of energy. And notice if there's any stretching sensation through the inner seam of your left leg. Now, from this place, we could pull the hips back a little bit and then shift forward. Pull back. We'll do that just a few times on your own. When you're shifting forward, you might even arch your back a little. So after a few of those small movements, then come back to center. And once at center, we'll come to bring that knee back down to the mat. And we'll take that onto the opposite side. So lift your right knee off to the right and extend the leg straight out. So you're not able to see that so well, but I'm doing the same thing I was doing just a moment ago. And as we press the foot away from us, we're letting that right hip descend. So you can tell here that my torso, my back, and my hips are pretty balanced. So do the best you can here. And then we can start to shift back and forward. back and forward. You can move with your breath. You pull back on the exhale, come forward on the inhale. Just a couple of times on your own. I'm going to do this maybe about the same amount of times you did on the first side. And then once you've done that, about those same number of times, come back to center, push into the earth. Let's bring our knee back down to the ground. And then we'll draw our hips back towards the heels. Reach forward with your arms so you've got a nice active reach, nice stretch through the arms. Now, keeping your hands nice and wide, we'll rise up to the hands and knees. Arch the spine to look forward, and then come to tuck your toes under and lift your hips up and back. So this is what we call downward facing dog. This might be available to many of you. Some of you might feel a little less comfortable bearing that much weight on your hands. So another option is to find a wall space. Come to the wall, bring your hands to the wall and push your hips back. So we're really firm in our legs and long in the spine. Okay, so wherever you are, whether you're in the classic downward facing dog or if you're at the wall, let's take a couple more breaths here together. And then with your inhalation, make your way down to the ground, knees down. If you're at the wall, come join us here on your mat. If you're kneeling on a blanket, let's move it aside and then come all the way down to your belly. So some of the times what really challenges our cross-legged seat is staying there for a while, holding the posture. So I'm going to invite you to try some back strengthening work with me. It doesn't take too much, but the more you do it, the stronger your back will eventually become. Right, so let's bring our hands to the ground right alongside us, right under the shoulders. Let your forehead release down. Give a good stretch through your legs. Push into your hands, and when you next inhale, slide your chest forward and up. We're coming into a little Cobra Pose. And when you exhale, lower back down. We'll do that a few times on your own. So the in-breath lifts you, the out-breath lowers you. Now, this is a really nice way to work, and you can continue to do that. Let's rest for a moment, keeping the head down. Now, this next wave approaching is a little bit more challenging. So as I keep my legs rooted down, on the inhale, I'm going to rise up, but this time I'll let my hands hover. I don't go as high. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, lift. Takes a lot more effort in the back body. Exhale, lower. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And we'll pause to rest again. Take a breath or two. And then our last approach, we're going to hold the pose. So it's your choice if you want to keep your hands down or let them hover, right? Take what's best for you. Now with an inhale, we come up. If your hands are down, maybe you find that you're going higher. If your hands are hovering, you're probably a little closer to the ground. Let's take 3 breaths together. And the third breath brings us all the way down. We'll bring our forearms under our forehead. You can let your hips kind of shake from side to side, or even bend your knees and sway the legs from side to side. And then we come back to center. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Press down. Let's rise up to the hands and knees. Now this would be a perfect time to do another downward facing dog. If that felt good to you, you could tuck your toes under and lift your hips up. You could take about 3 breaths there, but if you didn't love the dog pose, keep your knees down, create a little space between your knees, uncurl the toes, and let's lower back into a child's pose. We can pause here. If you decided to take the downward facing dog, maybe you'll release now
and join me here in the child's pose. And with your next inhalation, come up to sit on your heels. Let's bring our knees together. Find that blanket that you were sitting on right at the beginning of our time together, and let's take it underneath our hips now. Alrighty, so as we come to sit, we'll give a good push through our heels. This is called a staff pose or dandasana. Give a nice push through your heels. Lift tall with your spine. And then come to cross your legs at your shins. I invite you to take, well, it doesn't really matter which shin you bring forward first. So whichever one you like, bring it forward. And then let your hands be alongside you. Lift up through the sides of your waist. And then let your hands come to rest on your legs. And let's check in. Close the eyes. Notice if your pose feels any different. It might not. One thing we need to remember about our yoga practice is that it's a slow practice. Change comes, but sometimes it takes time. Let your eyes open. And then might you change the cross of your shins? You probably took a cross that is what we could say your habitual cross of legs, right? The way you always do it. So what is it like now to change that cross? Hands back to the legs. Close your eyes. And just feel. And then let your eyes open again. Uncross your legs. Let's return to our back. So we'll slide off of that support. Move it aside. Come onto your back. And once you've eased down, let your legs straighten now. Let your arms release. And we'll just pause for a few moments here together. Resting, letting go of the work. Letting go of the work of this short practice. Letting go of grip and tension through the hips. Let your legs be heavy. Let your breath be natural. And let the earth hold you. And you can certainly stay here for as long as you like. Otherwise, let yourself be here for just a few more moments, releasing and softening. And then we'll once again bend the knees, roll over to your side. Press up to sit. And as you come back up to sit, I'm hoping that you found this short little practice beneficial in some way, and that you might come back to it now and again and see what it brings. If it allows you to find more comfort in your cross-legged seat, some changes in that posture for you. And if you have some things that you like to explore that allow you to sit with more ease and more comfort, please let us know. Just drop a little comment down below. And if you'd like to stay updated on these videos and see what's going on, definitely give us a like, a follow, and subscribe to our channel. Namaste.